Daniel knew heartache intimately. His first marriage had ended in devastation when his wife abruptly walked out on their family. She had fallen head over heels for a military officer she met by chance in a restaurant, and just like that, she was gone. The wound left by that betrayal ran deep, convincing Daniel that love simply wasn't meant for him. He closed himself off, resolved to focus on raising his daughter and managing his modest business. But life, with its strange sense of timing, often disrupts the paths we think we're meant to walk. Emily, fresh from university and full of ambition, was hitting wall after wall. Despite internships and hands-on experience, employers seemed to dismiss her outright, focusing only on her age and lack of tenure. Rejection letters piled up. Confidence gave way to frustration. One particularly hard day, after yet another failed interview, she sat on a park bench, quietly crying, trying not to attract attention. Daniel happened to be walking by with his daughter, Sophia, when he noticed her. Unlike others who passed without a second thought, he stopped and asked if she was all right. Emily hesitated, but eventually opened up. She spoke about the countless job rejections, the patronizing tone of hiring managers, and how speaking assertively about her abilities only seemed to backfire. Daniel listened carefully, never interrupting. His quiet empathy comforted her more than she expected. Sophia, sensing the tension, tugged on Daniel's sleeve and handed Emily a drawing she had made, a cute sketch of a cafe with her father smiling behind the counter. Emily smiled for the first time that day, clutching the drawing as if it were something priceless. Daniel mentioned he ran a small child development center, and though there wasn't an ideal position for her, he offered a temporary job to help her get by. With no other prospects and rent to pay, she accepted. Something about Emily intrigued Daniel from the start. Over time, his admiration deepened. He began leaving little gifts, flowers on her desk, pastries during lunch. Eventually, he worked up the courage to ask her out. To his surprise, she said yes. Emily, too, had felt a quiet pull toward him ever since that encounter in the park. Their bond grew quickly. Within half a year, they were living together. A year after that, Daniel proposed. He never thought he'd trust anyone again, let alone fall so deeply in love. But Emily had changed everything. As years passed, Sophia matured and prepared for university. Though Emily wasn't her birth mother, they shared a genuine connection. Emily had become a dependable presence in her life. Meanwhile, Daniel's business grew. Emily, originally planning to pursue a different career, discovered she found purpose in working beside him. Daniel couldn't have asked for a better partner, capable, compassionate, and deeply involved. Recently, the business expanded with a new location. Emily stepped in to help manage it, ensuring operations ran smoothly, while Daniel explored another venture. She threw herself into the work, often staying late to supervise evening programs. One of those programs included an English class led by a young instructor named Nathan. Emily admired his professionalism at first. He was confident, articulate, and great with the kids. But as time went on, something shifted. An unwanted attraction began to stir. She tried to ignore it, dismiss it as stress or imagination. But the spark was undeniable, and Nathan's behavior only fed it. He complimented her in ways that felt too personal, asked about her life outside work, and looked at her a little too long. One evening, as they were locking up, he kissed her, and in that single moment, Emily lost herself. Her marriage, her loyalty, everything she valued, forgotten. The kiss ignited a storm of guilt and longing. After that night, something inside her changed. Daniel, who had once been her comfort and strength, now seemed ordinary. Nathan was younger, unpredictable, exciting. Resentment began to grow, quiet at first, then louder. Daniel noticed the distance, the sudden mood swings, the irritation over nothing. He didn't understand why the woman he adored was pulling away. One evening, alone in his office and still unable to make sense of the changes, Daniel opened the security feed from the new center. Emily had mentioned a late class that evening. The classroom camera showed nothing. Curious, he switched to another view, the back office. There she was, and with her, Nathan. What Daniel saw shattered him. His wife, kneeling before a man barely older than his daughter. His chest tightened, his fists clenched. For a few moments, he couldn't even breathe. He copied the footage onto a flash drive, numb with disbelief. Back home, Emily greeted him with a smile and a kiss. Daniel barely responded. The image of her betrayal burned behind his eyes, seared into him. He didn't sleep that night. He stared at the ceiling, consumed by grief and rage. But by morning, his emotions had hardened into resolve. He began crafting a plan, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. He organized a dinner, under the guise of celebrating their recent business success, and reserved a private space at a well-known restaurant. He made arrangements with the venue staff and paid handsomely for their discretion. He wanted the truth revealed on his terms, in his way. Emily arrived dressed beautifully, excited and full of chatter. She spoke about work, about Sophia's college life, about their early days together. Daniel listened quietly. The evening felt normal until it didn't. As they raised glasses in a toast, Daniel stood and gave a heartfelt speech. And just as he finished, the screens in the room came to life. The footage played without sound, but the message was unmistakable. The atmosphere froze. Emily's smile faded as horror took over. Murmurs filled the space. Her betrayal played out in front of strangers, and there was no escaping it. She bolted from the room, tears streaming down her face. What followed was ugly. Lawyers, arguments, accusations. She tried to salvage what she could, pleading for forgiveness, offering apologies, even attempting to shift blame. But Daniel had made up his mind. When the dust settled, the marriage was over. Sophia, heartbroken and disillusioned, cut ties with Emily completely. Nathan disappeared almost immediately, leaving her to face the wreckage alone. He quit, blocked all contact, and moved on without a backward glance. Emily found a small apartment and tried to start over, but nothing was the same. The consequences of her choices clung to her like a shadow. Regret became her constant companion. Some wounds heal over time. Others remain open, reminding you of everything you've lost. And in her case, some mistakes simply couldn't be undone.